Okay, thank you, Kyle. And this is being recorded. A lot of people aren't able to come today, so Kyle is kindly recording everything, and he'll let us know when the recording is ready to see online. So welcome, everybody. I'm Terry Morrison, and it's good to see you all. And it is my honor and privilege to introduce our guest speaker today, who really needs no introduction. Reverend Dr. Jeong Park will share his slides and his stories of his wonderful renewal adventures. And some of you may not be familiar with our church and how the renewal works. So in the United Methodist Church, it's called the Book of Disciples. And in it, there's a section that says, if you've been a full-time pastor for at least 6 years, you may request a leave up to 6 months to refresh yourself spiritually, emotionally, physically, and be more tuned in to focus on the needs of the folks. So Pastor Jeong asked for that leave. It was granted. And the first part of his leave was last summer, well, the summer of 2023, when he took his 2 sons to 13 national parks. And they connected with nature, with each other, and just created all kinds of wonderful memories. And then this last summer, summer of 2024, Pastor Jeong took part 2 of his renewal leave. And as he has already mentioned, he went on a pilgrimage to the UK, where he explored the legacy of John Wesley in England, the Celtic Church in Scotland, and the Book of Kells in Ireland. And then he went on to South Korea. And while he was on that journey, his wife, Young Jae, who's a pharmacy tech at El Camino Hospital, took their 2 sons to Japan for a week, and then on to South Korea to visit with grandparents and cousins and explore that territory. And then she came back to the US to work, and Pastor Jeong had finished his pilgrimage, and he went on to South Korea, where he showed his sons his roots and created all kinds of wonderful, lasting memories for his sons and himself. And they all came back to the US filled with gratitude and refreshed and ready to deal with all of us. So without further ado, welcome, Pastor Jeong. We're so excited you're home and you're going to share your pilgrimage with us.
Thank you, Terry. Welcome, everyone, to my show. Before we join this show together, let us begin with a word of prayer together. Loving God, as we begin this presentation, reflecting on the journey through the UK and South Korea that I experienced during the summertime, we come with hearts full of gratitude. We thank you for the opportunity to walk in the footsteps of faith pioneers. And we ask that you guide us as we revisit the places where your spirit moved powerfully. So may the stories shared today inspire us, just as John and Charles Wesley's and all the Celtic monks were inspired to follow you with devotion. So open our heart to embrace the beauty of each moment, and may this journey deepen our understanding of your grace in our own lives. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. Well, actually, I want to start with my trip-related picture to you first. I don't know whether you know this picture or not. Last Tuesday, I just accidentally watched a SpaceX rocket launch and safely return. It's such an incredible moment. And that reminded me of my own journey past summer, like a metaphor. The summer trip through England, Scotland, Ireland, and South Korea. It felt like I was traveling through time, stepping into the lives of faith pioneers. So now I want to share my purpose of this journey. But I wasn't sure if I should bring my bike, but honestly, a lot of people told me not to do. So here, Terry is one of them, and many people really begged me not to bring your bike to the trip. So in hindsight, they were absolutely right. To be honest with you, hauling it through Cambridge and Oxford, and or as you will see in one of these slides, across medieval cobblestones or any road was no fun. So it's one of those moments where you realize even the best choices can bring unexpected challenges. So after 3 weeks of this, if you're thinking about taking a trip with your bike, my recommendation is no. Yeah, please don't do that. So, but even with the difficulties, there was a joy. I want to say this. There was a joy. Riding my bike, catching buses and trains, I was fully immersed in these spiritual landscapes. So while part of me wanted to stay in those sacred places forever, but I realized that the eternity is there, but life is right here, right now. So today I invite you to join me on this journey through over 60 slides. So again, it's not about travel tips. It's all about reflections and testimonies. And I hope the pictures will speak for themselves, so that hope you enjoy as well. So it's been a long ride. So as I said, buckle up, relax, and enjoy. Okay, so as you see this road, so my journey started at San Francisco Airport and then landing in Heathrow Airport in London. So from there, I was hopping on trains, buses, and riding a bike all over England before catching a train up to Scotland. So then I flew over to Ireland and eventually circled back to Heathrow for a long 13-hour flight across the Pacific to South Korea. So you will see there's my road map here. So London at the bottom, and then this is South Korea, Incheon National Airport, and very in the bottom of this country, a small island is my hometown. So it's a 13 hours flight there too. So now arriving in England was a bit of a balancing act. I had a suitcase and a bike packed into a backpack, and a special gift from Janie Nickel, our care team member, and a cap that read Pastor Warning. Anything you say or do can be used in a sermon. So that was really thanks. So I like this one. So I carry that cap through all of my England, and even I fixed it up while I was in Scotland. It was broken in the back of the cap. So so only to lose it right before flying to Korea. So you won't see the cap anymore after the island trip. So you will spot repairing the cap in some of the slides next. Of course, I couldn't resist checking out a few Harry Potter spots along the way. So as you see here, the top left one picture, platform 9, a 3/4 one, and then some hidden gems around Oxford. So keep an eye out for these pictures too. But again, the heart of my trip was really about following in the footsteps of faith pioneers like John Wesley, Charles Wesley, and St. Patrick in Ireland. So I embraced the simplicity of the Celtic church and reflected on my own spiritual roots. So visiting places like Holy Island in England, Isle of Iona, Hill of Tara in Ireland, and Glendalough. So even I went back to my hometown in South Korea where my parents' first church still stands. And then the place that shaped their faith and where they will be laid to rest in the end. So if I had to sum up this whole journey in one word, it would be pathway. It wasn't just about physical travel. It was about walking a way of life, connecting the temporary with the eternal. So riding my bike and walking these roads became a way to reflect on where I stand and where I'm headed, so much like the pioneers of faith before me. Okay, let's start with the Epworth. So this John Wesley's route part as well. So one of the first key stops on my trip was Epworth, the birthplace of John Wesley and the founder of Methodism. So as a Methodist clergy, this is really a must-go place, right? So Wesley was born on June 17, 1703. The 15th of 19 kids. Can you believe this? So, but only 10 survived infancy. So his parents, Samuel Wesley and Susan Wesley, were both huge influence on him. So Samuel was a rector at the local church. The bottom right, that's St. Andrew, his father's church, and he served that church for 40 years there. And then Susanna, as a mother, is a strong faith and earned her title of Mother of Methodism too. So I was very impressed with Susanna's, her disciplining her children's and the ministry there too. So at the old rectory in Epworth, where John and Charles Wesley grew up, I learned more about their early lives and how it set the stage of Methodist movement. So John later he became priest, and then returned back to his father's side as well. And then as you see the grave there, he stood up there and then preached after he was kicked out of the England church. So John Wesley, his revival work and preaching, and so also Charles Wesley, he's also wrote hymns that we still sing today. Here's another, I mean, that maybe you do not see her full face here. She's a museum guide there. And I was very lucky enough to get a 30-minute tour from a guide who kindly postponed her haircut just for me. Usually they close their museum 3:15. So I was there around 3:15 and she was about to go out for haircut appointment, but she kindly postponed her appointment for me. So actually it was a little bit long train and taxi trip, like 2 hours from Heathrow and then the taxi trip for 40 minutes to get there, the Epworth. So my trip was really meaningful there. This Epworth gave me a deeper appreciation for how Wesley's focus on faith and serving the poor still, that really meaningful trip to me as well. I mean, as you see the picture here, will you please go back the previous picture? You see the book there up top right here. Just fun fact, John Wesley wrote a book called Primitive Physics. So a guide to simple, affordable remedies for common ailments. So it wasn't just a hobby for him. He genuinely cared about helping people who couldn't afford medical care. It's just another example how his compassion for the underserved was central to his work. And that's something that's impressive to me. Okay, so that's the Epworth part, and then let's go to a London part. John Wesley grew up in Epworth, 2 hours away from London, and then later his life, he settled in London and died there too. So visiting John Wesley's house in London was a highlight for me. I stayed in Southwark for 3 nights and biked 6 miles a day through London traffic. Well, London traffic was very intense. So it was very tricky too. That's England is a little bit different driving and position, and also a road shape is different here than United States. So riding a bike alongside the double decker buses and taxis during the rush hour was pretty nerve-wracking. So later, when I left London, and even my taxi driver said that how dangerous the cycling can be. So with the 21 cyclists dying in an accident annually, I learned this later. So I felt that very grateful that to have made it through safely during the time there. So something that really stood out at Wesley House here and again in Epworth was his collection of personal journals. So the next slide, you will see the left picture. I thought it was the books that John Wesley cherished or collected, but it's not book. This is John Wesley's note-taking. So in both Epworth and in the London, his house is full of his journals. He recorded everything that he experienced, even small things. So with this collection of his personal journals, he wrote a lot. So that's really inspiring to see how committed he was to reflection and growth. And it shows just how much writing down your thoughts can help with self-improvement as well. And also the bottom and the right picture, that was a special scene in our Methodism history and for John Wesley as well. That is the Aldersgate place, we call it. So this is part of London Museum site. This is a place where the John Wesley had his famous conversion experience. The May 24th, 1738, the night he experienced the strangely warmed in his heart. So that was the moment that really solidified his faith and gave him the confidence to continue his mission. He confessed in his journal that he was able to feel and experience the assurance of salvation and assurance of faith. That's really focused. That's really important thing in our Methodism. From that time on, he really focused on inner transformation in his faith and mission. So it is a powerful reminder that faith isn't just about going through the motions. It's about those deep, soul-stirring moments that changed everything. So I felt that we need to stay alert to those moments where they were intentional or completely unexpected. They were what connect us to something greater, to a deeper sense of meaning and purpose. So that, to me, is the real heart of the spiritual journey. Okay, so let's go to Oxford. Oxford University is where the John Wesley and Charles Wesley had education, and also very important the place for their learning there too. So as you know, John and Charles Wesley, his brother, both attended Christ Church College. It's part of one of the college in Oxford umbrella. And while they were excellent students, but what stood out to me wasn't their academic success, but their deep dedication to faith. They went on to pursue master's studies, Lincoln College. This picture shows the Lincoln College inside, and where they founded the Holy Club. A Holy Club is a group that gathered for prayer, study, and weekly communion and preparing for their mission work. So, these pictures, will you show me the picture again, that one? That was a very special one because when I arrived there early in the morning, and that there was a sign that says that no tourist. So literally it is closed for tourist people. So I wasn't able to get in, but Well, this is another God's grace. During my visit, when I arrived at the Lincoln College here before it opened, and I knocked the door and introduced myself as a Methodist pastor from the U.S. And then at first they thought of me as a tourist, but when they heard that I'm a pastor from U.S., they they kindly opened the door, and then they welcomed me inside. So I was able to take pictures of these. And one of them shared that his father was a Methodist pastor, so which made the moment feel even more special there too. And this picture shows a St. Mary's Chapel, where John Wesley preached a bold sermon criticizing spiritual laziness of the university. And unfortunately, that sermon got him banned from preaching there again. But today, the chapel honors both John and Charles Wesley with a dedicated stone, as you see this picture here, and showing their lasting impact. So just for fun, the next slide, I also stopped by the Christ Church dining hall. That is on the right side, the middle one. That's a Harry Potter film movie. That's great hall for Harry Potter Hogwarts Castle's dining place. So that's something entertaining stuff there too. Okay, so this is part of Lincoln College and Oxford University side. So it was really fun to walk around and see really historic buildings there too. Again, this is very lucky time for me to get in. Okay, let's go to, this is in the big space of Oxford Christ Church College campus. Okay, many of you might be curious about my accommodations during my 3-week trip to the UK. One of the most memorable stays was here in Wellington, just outside of Oxford, maybe 1 and 30 minutes by local bus, where I spent 5 nights in a very historic Church of England building. This church has quite a history. So originally built in the 12th century, with over 2,000 people buried there, as you see the bottom and the right picture. And then another fun fact, there was even a sculpture donated by J.J. Tolkien, the writer of the Lord of the Rings, sister inside the church there too. It's a very historic building. So I slept on a camping cot in the corner of the main sanctuary, as you see this picture here, and completely alone in the quiet, which felt a bit eerie moment at times, but also peaceful as well. So it was a unique experience, to say the least. So on Sunday, I visited nearby a Methodist church with just maybe 20 or 25 members there, but who warmly welcomed me with a tea after service. So one member even gave me a tour and shared how John Wesley had visited Wellington multiple times during his ministry. So it was a small but meaningful reminder of the deep Methodist heritage in that area. So, well, this picture shows that I stayed in the sanctuary building and then some work there too. So my final stop on the journey was John and Charles Wesley's spiritual beginnings, was the New Room in Bristol. Actually, this is well known as the oldest Methodist church in the world. This is where they launched their active ministry and marking at a cornerstone of Methodist history. Well, I mean, this is a museum now and also worship place there too. Charles Wesley really dedicated his life and ministry here in Bristol, and also he died and buried in this city as well. So for me, it was a very heartfelt place. especially when I read and looked through this whole John Wesley's sermons about thoughts on slavery. Even Methodist Church, even in the beginning of our history in Bristol, we really they believe that slavery is not part of God's work and God's will, even though the mainline, the Church of England, really support that slavery at the time for the countrywide. Bristol is the place where the slavery trading is the hub in the whole entire country. So, I mean, I was deeply moved by seeing John Wesley's heartfelt sermon on thoughts on slavery and humble beginnings of his mission there. As you see, one of the picture here, I'm God's steward to the poor. So the bottom left is actually the first Methodist church inside picture. You might see this is a really great building, but actually not. If you visit Saint Mary's Cathedral, very nearby that church is a grand church of England with a stunning architecture, like something like out of Westminster Abbey things. It's such a beautiful and wonderful church building. But the new room, this one, by comparison, was very simple, reflecting the Wesley's dedication to serving the poor. As I said, that Bristol, being a major hub for the transatlantic slave trade, so made their work even more challenging and radical. So many people thought Methodist meetings were so risky that to a nation. So often mobbed, attacked the building and attacked the worship gathering there too. So maybe whether you noticed or not, the new room, the church building was built without windows on the lower floor, so which allowed the worshipers to escape in case mobs attacked. So that's something meaningful. So John Wesley's passion was very clear, not just in the space itself, but in his guidance for, actually this one is another snapshot. At the bottom left is Charles Wesley's home. So both John and Charles were very active in the city, and they began their missional work entire England, and also even Ireland as well. So that's things. And here's another fun fact. Will you show me the next picture? I was able to see John Wesley's advice on how to preach. And this is something you may not see the details here, a little bit too small letter here. But there's one thing, let me see. That's something number 5. It says here, keep services under an hour. So John Wesley said, the Methodist preachers, the worship should be in an hour. So if Sunday worship goes over 1 hour over, it's technically breaking Methodist tradition. So keep that in your mind. When the Pastor Dave or the pastors that go on over an hour, that's breaking our rule. Okay, so well, there's another champion, rural church stay. So this is the east of Bristol, a rural area. So another memorable camping experience. Camping is a church camping. So this church, allows the campers or cyclists to stay their building for their overnight. So this is the old church of England, a building, surrounded by farmland. So getting there was a quite adventure. I had to take a local bus and I missed one, and I had to wait for another hour to get another one, and then biked 1.5 miles to reach the church. I didn't know how far it is away from the train stop. So I really struggled to connect with anyone else there. There's no internet. There's no shower room. So I stayed another 5 nights there. Oh, actually, that was remote. So there's no grocery store nearby either. So I had to bike an hour just to find the supplies. But again, the peaceful countryside was beautiful, though. Even with nothing but the sound of sheep and a view of whales across the ocean. I was able to see whales across the ocean there too. And then the only sound that I could hear is a sheep around the field. So I slept on an air mattress under a huge chandelier. It was very daunting though. I mean, look at the picture at the bottom and the middle. The chandelier is really huge up in the ceiling. A bit scary though. What if that will fall down and hit me? A lot of spider webs are here and there because it's been it's been empty for a while. So, but but I mean, so literally I stayed for 10 nights, 5 nights in Wellington. Outside Oxford, there's no shower either there. So for literally for 10 days, no shower. But I mean, it was fine with me, but because I was by myself all of the places. But this church has also had history too. Around 500 dead body buried on the ground. Another chilly, quiet, and challenging stay, but definitely a memorable experience there too. So, and then Scotland. Scotland was another beautiful adventure for me, full of history and new experiences. And one of the coolest things was being out at 10 p.m. and still having daylight. As you see the picture right in the bottom, it's around a picture that I took around 10 p.m. Still having daylight. So it felt like magical to me. So, fortunately, this time I was able to stay at the University of Edinburgh for a few nights. So where they opened the dorms for tourists during the summertime. So it was a fun way to explore the area by bike and surrounded by historic buildings. And I definitely felt like a more comfortable experience compared to my church camping adventures. So in this time, I had showers and even breakfast as well. That was something cool. So from Edinburgh, this is one of the slides that shows us a student dormitory here. And most of the time, I just went to convenience store and buy sandwich or something fast food. So this is one of the pictures that I ate. So something lunch. So from Edinburgh, I also took the train to Glasgow, as you see here picture, and planned my trip to the Isle of Iona. The Isle of Iona, the first Christian site in Scotland, founded by Irish monks following St. Patrick. So, this is picture at the bottom left, the green shirt lady. She was repairing my the cap. So I spent more than 10 pounds, pounds, but I lost it after this trip. So from Edinburgh to Isle of Iona, another, I think, 4 hours trip by train, a little bit a lengthy trip. So, and also you will see some pictures there too. I also wanted to visit Holy Island. That is the first Christian site in England. So again, the Isle of Iona is the first church in Scotland, and the Holy Island, Lindisfarne, is the first church in England side. So I didn't know this about when I planned this trip. When I was going to Isle of Iona in a train, I met a lady who really encouraged me to go to Holy Island. So that's why I changed my plan and went there. So I will show you some pictures there too. It was very fascinating to see how both Scotland and England spiritual roots trace back to Ireland. So that's something cool. So, okay, let's, this is pictures of Iona. I put the title, A Sacred Island of Stillness and Reflection. Iona was such a meaningful stop on my journey. So many in our congregation are familiar with it. And next year, I know the next year, Carol DeMonte and Dirk and their team will make another pilgrimage there. Traveling to Iona can be quite the adventure, especially if you are going solo, as I did, with just bike. You know, I took a train from Edinburgh for 4 hours and more, and then transferred to Glasgow in the middle of that stop, and then caught a ferry to the Isle of Mull, M-U-L-L. And from there, I needed to coordinate a bus and more cycling to finally reach Iona, where timing was everything. So especially with limited bus services on weekends. So even though I left early in the morning on Saturday, but I had only 2 hours that I could stay in the Isle of Iona, had to catch a bus to go back to the harbor. So, but this is a really precious time for me. Look at these pictures. It's such a beautiful place to be. And then the wind is so gentle, and I mean really enjoyed just being there. It's a beautiful scene island. You know, Iona's significance dates back to Saint Columba, an Irish monk who arrived in the 6th century with the 12 his followers to establish the church, they call it abbey, that would lay the foundation of Christianity in Scotland. Their lives were dedicated to copying sacred manuscript, especially New Testament things, and then including what would later become the famous Book of Kells. Book of Kells, basically the manuscript of New Testament. All the monks, they just copying all the words with the pictures in it too. So that Book of Kells was there, and then eventually they moved to Dublin's Trinity College for safekeeping. What really struck me most about Iona was the profound stillness. Being away from the busyness of the world, surrounded by nature and history, felt like truly a holy moment. It reminded me of Abraham Joshua Herschel's words, just to be is a blessing, and just to live is holy. That perfectly captures how I felt on Iona, standing on the shore, surrounded by the ocean, ancient stones, and a deep sense of God's presence. It was an unforgettable experience. Will you please go? Oh, yeah, this is the one. One of the Iona community prayers that I meditated on while they're beautiful. I mean, what I'm saying is that here, when I made a request to the SPRC, I think Becky Everett is here too, and I, in my proposal of my renewal leave, I included Iona's prayer there. So. And then I recall my proposal and the quote and the prayer that I presented to SPRC, that I really wanted to take some time off and renew leave here. And I want to share that prayer and quote with you, as really reflecting my trip there too. Here's the quote from the Iona prayer. Leave me alone with God as much as may be. As the tide draws, the waters close in upon the shore. Make me an island, set apart, alone with God, holy to you. Then, with the turning of the tide, prepare me to carry your presence to the busy world beyond, the world that rushes in on me, till the waters come again and fall back to you. Kyle, will you show me the picture again, the ocean in Iona? This prayer speaks to the heart of what Iona offers, a chance to be still with God and then return renewed to the busy world. That was one of the highlights that I experienced during that trip here. So, and then these are the slides. And then this guy I met, this is not part of Iona, but Isle of Mule. Iona is another small island, and this is Isle of Mule is another big island. So you need to, it's not a, I mean, so this is Isle of Mule, and I met this couple, Ryan and Rose. They came from England, and I learned that they've been camping in this Isle of Mule for 40 nights with bike camping. So these people are really hardcore of camping and the riding of bicycle things. We really had a fun time to talk and chat each other. So that was fun. And then this this is part of the Isle of Mule. It's another beautiful place to be there too. Yeah, and then well, I mean, I want to share a little devotion that I took while I'm walked around this Isle of Mule while waiting for, the bus. So this is my short reflection that I want to share with you. And you see the birds here, right? Birds here. So I just wanted to share my short devotion that I captured in the moment. The title is "Don't Miss the Divine Moments." Life moves so fast that we often miss those little moments where God's presence touches our hearts. During a walk on an island, I spotted some birds with bright orangey beaks, snapped a photo, and I thought nothing of it. So later I realized that they were puffins. Puffins is in the middle picture. That one is a very special bird in the Isle of Mule. I thought I captured the bird, but when I went back to find them, it was gone. But that moment had passed. So this reminded me how easy it is to miss God's divine presence in everyday life. So Psalm 46 verse 10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." In the stillness, we notice these sacred moments, maybe a kind word, a deep peace, or the beauty around us. I hope that we practice slowing down and being present so we don't want to miss these fleeting moments of grace God offers us each day. So that was something that I meditated while I was walking around this island. So I want to show you another important Christian site in England. It is called Holy Island, or another name, Lindsay Farm. It's a national nature reserve. This is another special place in the history of Christianity in England. I found it by the Irish monk, Saint Aidan, and then in maybe 7th centuries. So it became the center for spreading the Christian faith throughout England. This is a very interesting place. This is a tidal island, so accessible only at a low tide. It's rich in spiritual significance and home to the ruins of medieval priory and the famous Lindsey Farn Gospels. So the conclusion is I couldn't get there though, but I mean, as you see this picture here, when I returned from Isle of Iona, and I hurriedly packed and then continued to take a train 2 hours and 40 minutes by taxi, and then another 7 miles riding a bicycle to get there. And then when I arrived there, it was a tiding moment. So as you see here, it's really cut off time for safely crossing the causeway. So I do not have any like real pictures of Holy Island. This is it. Kyle, show me the next one. In order to get to the Holy Island, you have to go to the Berwick-upon-Tweed station, and then there either by local bus or a taxi, 40 minutes, and then you have to start your journey there. Again, well, missing the tide window meant the road would soon be submerged and make it impossible to return. So this something very special place. So at first I didn't intend to cross the causeway, but as I look back, I mean, I just for fun, I tried to get in the middle of the road, and then the tide started coming in on the road. So I saw the tide really creeping in, and then the road was beginning to flood. So when I turned around just in time, I mean, this was quite a dangerous moment too. I was almost submerged the seawater there. So, but thankfully I was successfully turned around and then get out of the water. But a few hours later, everything dried with a crusty layer of salt, and a reminder of how unpredictable nature can be. It's really, well, how do I say this? Something, I think this experience taught me something, an important lesson to me. Sometimes, I mean, I really was really ambitious to go over the road and experience the Holy Island, what it looks like. But sometimes this is something wiser, to pause and wait rather than push forward. So although I didn't make it to the island that day, the journey itself became a moment of reflection, reminding me that the stillness and patience are as meaningful as reaching the destination. So it's kind of valuable lesson for both travel and life to me. There are sometimes you have to be just wait and pause rather than pushing yourself. So the final destination on this journey was Dublin, Ireland. This was unexpected but deeply meaningful. I didn't plan going to Ireland, Dublin in the beginning of my plan because it's another big trip. But when I was learning about the Isle of Iona and Saint Columba's work on the Book of Kells, that really led me there. So, as I mentioned earlier, the Book of Kells, masterpiece of early Christian art, was moved for safekeeping after Viking raids. So I think Viking raiders, they killed 64 Irish monks on the beach of Iona. So that kind of wake-up call, and then St. Columba brought this Book of Kells original back to his hometown. His hometown is the town of Kells. So Book of Kells is named after his hometown in Ireland. So he spent some time in the town of Kells before finally being transferred to Trinity College in Dublin, where it now resides. So I was fortunate to stay at Trinity College student dorm again for 5 nights. As you see the top left one, the dormitory place that I stayed, only me there in the summertime. So it was very fun. So I stayed there for 5 nights, and this college is really a long history one, founded in the 16th centuries in Ireland, and not just a it's not a leading school in Ireland, but also offers a beautiful campus and vibrant connection to the city as well. So I took some time to explore downtown Dublin, which is dynamic and lively and full of character there. So again, here, Sandy, our church member, recommended that I visit one of the local pubs to experience the music scene. So though I'm not a drinker, but I decided to step outside my comfort zone and give it a try. The atmosphere was so unfamiliar at first. People laughing and chatting and singing along to live guitar music, but it quickly became a joyful experience. So I recorded a bit of the music on my phone, and I want to share that with you a bit in this slide as well.
I'm trying to get out of Nashville and the bus is up. 1,000 miles in a broken down truck. I crawled out of Nashville on broken down luck. Falling to pieces at the hems of the seams. She painted the color of a broken down dream. Rust in her race wheels, thin as a dime. My 58 Apache gets to work on town singing hallelujah, hallelujah, baby, hallelujah. She's rolling on home singing hallelujah, hallelujah, baby, hallelujah, standing on home. Now the TV and papers all standing in line to be the first to tell the story at the end of time. Got peeling paint on the doors and the sides, and all the passing colors of the Oklahoma sky. She's the color of my heart, she's the color of my dreams. She's a tin-toed picture of a broke down queen singing hallelujah, hallelujah, baby, hallelujah. She's rolling on home singing now what's too strong with the colors I'm told? It's easy to deny for the treasure we hold. Get up to the mountain and up your feet high. I take a look around before it all goes by. Color of my heart, she's the color of my dreams. She's a two-toed picture of a broken down queen singing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. She's rolling on home shining hallelujah, hallelujah, standing on the road. 1,000 miles of broken down truck. I crawled out of Nashville and broken down look. All the pieces at the hips and seams, painted every color of some broken down dream. Rust in her race wheels, clean as a dime. My 58 Apache gets to work all the time singing hallelujah, hallelujah, baby, hallelujah. She's rolling on home singing hallelujah, hallelujah, baby, hallelujah, standing over the road.
The pub is so noisy place, so I didn't much pay attention to the words, but I mean, I'm sure there's really good lyrics in it. So, but later I learned that the lyrics really reflect on transformation and renewal and healing and hope, the kind of things. But that's a song, and in the pub atmosphere, really something touched my heart. So I was able to meet new friends on the train. He's Irish guy, and then we had a lot of fun talk. And Dublin left me reflecting on happiness and gratitude. It reminded me of ancient Greek wisdom. What is happiness? In the Greek word eudaimonia, that is live well and do well. So sometimes holiness is found not just in quiet reflection, but in embracing life, eating, dancing, and enjoying the moment. So that was the essence of my first taste of Dublin. So a bit more story there. The Book of Kells, housed in Trinity College in Dublin, as I said that, and is a national treasure in Ireland. So encountering the original the piece of Book of Kells was one of the most exciting moments of my 3-week trip through the UK. This Book of Kells is very intricate artistry and the deep spiritual significance of the 19th century's one. So there's a saying that this is not human work; it's like angels' work, like very intricate work, artwork. So and also on the same campus, Kyle, will you show me the previous picture and the harp there? So I also maybe the next one. I also had a chance to see the oldest harp in Ireland, which added another layer of history to the visit as well. I think that that's something things that I experienced. The Book of Kells reflects a deep connection to Celtic Christianity, which developed after St. Patrick introduced the gospel to Ireland in the 5th centuries. So converting kings and tribes. The beginning on the hill of Tara, it's a really rural area in the island. But what's unique about the island's Christian tradition is that unlike in mainland Europe, it retained a distinct Celtic spirituality, either Celtic or Celtic, the same thing, spirituality. So while Christianity in Rome became tied to empire under Constantine emperor, but Ireland nurtured a simpler, more contemplative spirituality, focusing on harmony with the nature and community. So these Celtic monks dedicate themselves to copying scripture with care and devotion and producing masterpieces like the Book of Kells. So manuscripts so detailed and beautiful that some have described as the work of angels, as I said. So it was awe-inspiring to see such a delicate artistry preserved for centuries. The picture that you see on the left one is a special symbol or emblem of Gospel of John. The Book of Kells and Gospel of John, its character is eagle. So they put that eagle there too. So it's very delicate work. So yeah, I think if you have ever chance to visit there, it's a moving experience for sure. So this is a landscape of Trinity College and then the oldest harp in Ireland. That's why you see harp in the Guinness beer can. So there's something that I learned from this trip too. And then this something had fun. Oh, this St. Patrick's Church is very beautiful cathedral there too. So I enjoy this visit there too. My final adventure took me to Hill of Tara and Glendock, two key sites in Ireland's Christian heritage. Glendock, as you see the title there, the bottom on the right, Glendock is one of the earliest Christian communities where monks lived close to nature, dedicating their lives to spiritual practices and working on manuscripts like the Book of Kells. So their simple lifestyle reflected their deep connection to creation and the divine. And the Hill of Tara, on the other hand, hold a significance as the place where St. Patrick met with Irish kings. According to tradition, he used the 3-leaf clover to explain the concept of Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, introducing Christianity to the people. This iconic, the Celtic cross, as you often see, like a circular shape around behind the cross, it's a very distinctive circular design that symbolizes the sun as a source of life, as well as the light of God and Christ. So blending Celtic spirituality with Christian belief. So this trip, though beautiful, came with a bit of adventure. This is the last day, and my flight scheduled at 5 back to Heathrow in England. But I realized that the return bus from Glendock wasn't until 4 p.m. That was too late to go back to the airport. So somehow I figured it out and alternate route and made it just in time, thankfully. So that experience also reminded me that life is full of unexpected changes. So plans don't always go smoothly, but when we stay flexible and resilient, things have a way of working out. It's in those chaotic moments that we learn to go with the flow. Okay, so I capture some moments, in pictures here, and I hope that they inspire you. It's a very peaceful place. The simplicity and the beauty of these places reflect a deep spiritual truth. Sometimes we need to return to simplicity to reconnect with what really matters. That's part of my reflection in Ireland. And then you see, you're looking at these pictures, is a hill of Tara. And then on the right side, St. Patrick's statue. And then I brought my bike with me in this campus, the big, huge field. But unfortunately, the church staff gently asked me to put your bike outside the campus here. So I parked my bike right outside the church, but they said, no, not there. Entire field out of this place. So I couldn't stay too long, but I just had to leave soon. But this is another special place in Ireland, people. I would say that this is the heart of their soul. So I felt that I was able to visit the heart of Ireland there. So that was something special memory and sort of experience as well. So yeah, this is another picture of Glendock. And then the bottom left, right is the church, actually, in those times. I'm talking about 4th century, as very early Christian time in Ireland. Okay, so let's fly over across the Pacific Ocean and go to South Korea. Probably you're not familiar with this country. This picture also very unfamiliar to me as well. Let's begin this one. As part of my renewal journey, I made a special trip to South Korea to visit key mission sites that honor both Catholic and Protestant missionaries. These people are, the Catholic people. Despite I lived in South Korea for 29 years, from the birth to my adult college and graduate school time, for 29 years. But I had never visited these sites before. It was a new and humbling experience to finally see them and then understand their significance. So this one, as most impactful places that was the memorial dedicated to missionaries who were tragically executed by the ruling Joseon dynasty in the early 19th centuries. Before 19th centuries, Korea was like a dynasty. It's not, democratic government. So at the time, the dynasty viewed foreign missionaries as a dangerous threat. So believing that they were bringing harmful ideas into the country. So again, this was long before the establishment of Republic of Korea. So it wasn't the government as we know today, but the ruling dynasty. This is something, the very hierarchical system, and then the king there too. So as you look at this picture, you can see the site where their execution took place. Their heads severed in a guillotine-like manner on the right side, the middle one, and so their heads cut off. So, so for a long time, Korean people avoided the area, fearing it was cursed by bad spirit due to its bloody history here. So that was something new to me. And I also visited oldest Methodist. I also visited oldest Methodist church in South Korea. That's another place I never been to. So this entire experience was a powerful reminder of how small and often overlooked seeds of faith can grow into something much larger. So in Christianity in South Korea now is more than 10 million people, but it began with the sacrifices of these missionaries too. It was deeply moving and humbling experience. But it is always, and these are something, on the right side, he's a missionary of Methodist Church. So I thought it was cool to see his statue there too. Okay, will you show me the next picture? Again, I told you in the early, my hometown, birthplace island, in small island, very south end of South Korea. And it is always special to come home. But this time felt particularly meaningful. So my family and I were able to visit the place where I was born. By the way, my parents live in Seoul area, so it's another 5 hours trip. And my mom's health condition is not really good. So at first she didn't want to go, but thankfully she was able to go with us. I have two brothers too. So it's an island in South Korea, and there's something deeply nostalgic about returning to my root. So beyond not just merely a nostalgia things, and it felt like a holy experience. So even though I spent 25 years in the US here, and before that, and 10 years living in capital of South Korea, Seoul, and then the returning to this small island always brings a sense of peace and grounding. It is a place where my story began, and share with my parents and siblings. So another simplicity and richness of home, something beyond familiarity. So connection to my past, my heritage, and my faith. Actually, these folks are my parents, my mom and my father. And then we visited their first church where they have their faith. It's a special place for them too. And also my parents' birthplace as well. In particular, this time, it was a very special trip. My father said that my family, clan family, they bought a special land for their future grave site things. And then my father really wanted to visit there because there will be his future place to be laid. So that's something meaningful trip for him and for us as well. So it's kind of cool to see the future resting place while you're alive. So, but I mean, this is a really meaningful trip to them as where life begins and life ends. They has something meaningful to them. Okay, so, and then this is another unexpected things. you looking at this picture is my my former church. I spent 10 years in this church, and well, it's called the Gyeongdong Church. Well, I didn't expect to meet anyone there because it's been 25 years later. So, but I just wanted to show my sons, Jacob and Joshua, the place where I spent almost 10 years in my 20s, my college and grade school time in South Korea. And I mentored college students there. It was around 25 people around the time. So during the time, I lived on the rooftop. Rooftop is not, the fancy spot in South Korea. It's really a space that was freezing in winter and scorching in summertime. So, but I was fully committed to being there with students too. So, unexpectedly, on that Sunday morning, and afternoon actually, I ran into one of the college students that I mentored 20 years ago. So these folks are now it's 45 or in middle 40s, and then that really surprise reunion made the visit incredibly meaningful. So we had the dinner together, reminiscing and sharing memories and reflecting on how much had changed over the years. So as you see these pictures, the spark of that unexpected union after 25 years without any contact was profound to me. This reminds me how life-changing encounters, those sudden or chance moments, can alter the course of our lives. They shape and deepen us, becoming defining memories that stay with us. This was another meaningful highlight of my journey, something simple yet deeply significant. Will you show me the picture again, the previous one? You see the grave down there. The person who died from pancreatic cancer, she really deeply searching for me, even when I was staying in the United States. One of this guy's mother, and then she really cared about me deeply while I was mentoring the young people. So I took some special time to make a visit to her graveside, just kind of moment to think about her and to pray for her as well. So, I mean, it was really fun to see they're grown up there. There's many successful businessmen here, and doctors and lawyers, and it's really something cool to see the changes they become after 25 years. So, okay, so these are my, actually, this is really wonderful architecture in South Korea. 1988, when the Olympics were held in South Korea, this building is the best architecture building in entire country. So it's a very special church building in South Korea too. The next slide. Hey, the bicycle as a companion. So my presentation is almost coming to an end. I really appreciate your patience in following my long story. So throughout my trip, my bike played a key role, not just as a transportation, but as a companion. So I'm not a serious cyclist, and to be honest, I'm always conscious of my helmet and messing up my hair things. But I didn't want this trip to be about visiting fancy tourist spots. I wanted to challenge myself and experience the journey in a more spiritual way, kind of how John Wesley used his horse as circuit rider things. So I could have stayed, this bike just means of travel for me during this trip. It was a reminder of why I took this journey in the first place. Last slide, please. My conclusion here. Thank you again for your time. As I wrapped up my trip through the UK, I made a final visit to John Newton's church in London. The composer of Amazing Grace, reflecting on his powerful journey from a slave trader to a man of faith, left a profound impact on me. As Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. So that's how I feel about this trip, visiting places like John Newton's church, another church in St. Teresa Church in Dublin, and also a Methodist church in England, and the oldest church in South Korea. These places deeply shaped my spiritual journey and left me lasting memories. So again, I want to take a moment to express my deep gratitude to all of you, and your support and your kindness have shaped my faith and given me the strength and energy to continue this journey in ministry. So I think this is part of my the last slide. I appreciate you taking this journey with me. It's a little bit long, a long trip though. Okay, I think it's my story. Well, I didn't keep track of my time though, so hopefully that was a meaningful trip with you for you as well.
Yes. Yes, it was, very much so.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I
Yes,
don't know how it went, but
I
Hopefully-
really, I don't know if I'm unmuted, but I think
no, go ahead, Anne.
I just appreciated how at every site you made comments about the site, but also how you felt, and you
Mhm.
connected us in that way. And it was such a wide range of experiences you had. Incredible.
That was totally amazing. I loved it. I recognized some places that made me feel really warm too. The Iona places.
And you will go back there next year too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. I'm working really hard so that I won't be the last one on the trail.
Save your money to make it work.
Yes, I am, because I'm paying for the trip and the flight over. A long swim.
I thought it was a wonderful presentation, but I
Yes.
am so impressed with how you handled the tough times.
Yes.
I mean, you ran into some encounters of time and weather and just not getting to a place where you wanted to get at the time you wanted to get, and you made the best of it. And I love your quote at the end when you're saying, return to simplicity to know what really matters. Because I feel that at this time of our lives, with all that's going on around us, that really hits home. And very,
I also
it
liked
was wonderful.
one title that you had, Don't Miss the Divine Moments. I think you found the divine moments in everything, not only with any troubles or length of getting someplace, or the weather, or not crossing the road and everything else. You found divine moments in the good and also in the bad things that were not. I shouldn't say the word bad.
Disappointing.
Yes, but I love that. Don't
thank
miss
you for
the divine
mentioning that.
moments. And I think that so many times we're so busy that something that we do is miss the divine moments. That really stuck with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of my spiritual mantra things. Eternity, not in something afterlife thing. Actually, it's the present moment. There's a glimpse of eternity there too. So we really have to be intentional to catch the moment of eternity in the present time. I mean, Trishi and I had a little fun chat yesterday during the dinner time at the church. And then she said, oh, you're very lucky to be alive here back. So yeah, I mean, I thought I died in the seawater some point, and very scary moment. But I mean, I'm so glad I'm alive back here and continue my ministry with you. So that moment really is something special.
I don't know. The water
Thank
really
you,
came
John.
up.
Excuse me.
How deep did it get?
All around my ankle,
Oh.
but I mean, it's really scary to see it creeping in
Yes.
water inside.
Yes, yes, I remember that place.
And also, Nan Calder here, she really recommended to go to York, and I did. It was not in the picture, but I mean, because of my tight schedule, after Epworth and the taxi driver took me to York, but I didn't want him to wait too long and have to catch the train to go back to my hotel. So it was a very short trip, but it was really beautiful city there too. But I couldn't go to, the John Wesley's special site in Ireland. Miriam, I'm talking about you. It was too tight scheduled for me to cover everything that our church members requested to me. But I did my best.
I
I'm
did
so
on-
glad. I'm
Yeah.
so glad you got to see the Book of Kells
Yeah.
and just have that tied all together with the other churches in the town of Kells. I didn't realize it was named after the town, so I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I visited that St. Columba's hometown and the church there too. It was not much shown in the slide, but it was a very special place too. Yes, Judith?
I don't know if there's anybody else on this call that was on the trip in the footsteps of John Wesley back in, what was it, 2006. So a bunch of us from LAUMC went, including several clergy. And so we were in Bristol and York and up to Edinburgh and then across to Iona. But we got to be there for 5 days. So you can imagine how spoiled we were.
I was really glad you got a little bit of Iona and Glendalough. That's a beautiful, beautiful place. Really special.
Yeah, Iona was a very special place for me too. I felt the spirit very strongly there, and I was very moved several times there. It was a very rich experience.
It's a thin place.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much again for your time today. I really appreciate you all listening and viewing all my slides, my journey.
Thank you.
I hope that you have a peaceful day. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Kyle, for
Took us on a
staying on
trip.
later.